computer. Great. Okay, welcome to the very first interview in the Juiced series for the We Are Unlimited podcast on Anchor FM. I'm Helen Flitcroft, success coach at Stellar Humans, and Juiced is a 15-minute blast of pure, concentrated business advice from 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs. Just gold, no waffle, 15 minutes flat, or at least that's what we're aiming for. So I'm so honored and excited to introduce to you today one of my very favorite human beings on the planet, Mr. Christopher Duncan. Chris is a 3 times best-selling author. He's a coach, he's an entrepreneur, he's an investor. He is CEO of Fast Track Business, which is an education company for entrepreneurs. He's the co-founder of Fitness Fast Track, the 30-minute body revolution. He is the creator of the Emotional Clarity Method, the Magnetic Mind Process, a digital marketing certification, and also the Amplify Speaker Training Series. He has been featured in the Rise Up movie alongside Tony Robbins, the Dalai Lama, and more. He believes in freedom, human potential, and education. I'm going to give Chris ample opportunity to speak for himself, but he will tell you that he believes education unlocks the hidden potential in every human being. So by 17 years of age, Chris had a successful personal training business. At 20, he was running a DJ company, and at 22, he was broke, in debt, after a massive failed business. He realized the one thing needed for business success was sales and marketing, but not the kind you can learn in a book. He became committed to figuring this out. Investing heavily in personal development and finding a great mentor, he started a door-to-door company, and after 6 months, his biggest week was $250,000. Moving to Australia and starting a new company, Chris's education-first sales and marketing approach quickly had people asking him to help him with their business. Chris built this new company to over $1 million in turnover within 12 months. He's known as someone who can get big results fast. So Chris now travels, he runs several companies and travels the world, inspired to show others how they can grow businesses fast and achieve freedom using a proven step-by-step formula. Welcome, Chris, and thanks so much for coming on the show.
It's good to be here, actually, and it's funny to listen to all that stuff, isn't it? So I was like, wow, I've done a few things. Thank you so much for having me, Helen, and I just want to acknowledge you and your ability to take action and do things. It's you're an inspiration, and anybody that's following your podcast is in really good hands.
Oh,
really
thank you.
Good hands.
Yeah, so, action is what it's about, definitely. Mm-hmm. Cool. So, now your bio really only briefly touches on this, but it's quite outstanding, the credentials that you have in the field of mindset. Can you tell the audience a little bit more about your experience in that field? Because for us at Stellar Humans and at We Are Unlimited, January is a month of mindset. So yeah, just tell us a bit more about that.
Mindset's everything. I've been obsessed with coaching and mindset since I was about 11 years old. I ended up representing New Zealand in basketball, and that was only down to obsessing about coaching and my mindset, which translated into everything after that. So I've got I've been twice trained as a master in NLP. I've got a certificate in hypnosis, matrix energetics, a MAP coach like you, quantum physics, understanding neuroscience, the Joe Dispenza and DeMartini, different methods. I've done a lot of stuff. But most importantly, I've studied how to actually create results and applied it. I think at about age 24, 25, I could have gone out and gone all in on my speaking career around mindset. But I thought, you know what, I want to build a successful company first and prove it. Prove that it's actually possible, prove that you can change your mind and that you can create it. So I guess the biggest credential is the results that I've been able to create.
Cool. So you're only 31. You've managed to achieve so much already, and you've built over 12 successful businesses and coached thousands of others to do the same. So your successes speak for themselves, and the whole point of this Juiced series is to give us, or give the give as much value to ambitious entrepreneurs as is humanly possible in 15 minutes, or at least as close to as we can manage. So as a success coach and a creative entrepreneur myself, I've noticed there are kind of 12 main areas that need to be functioning, at least on some level, for things to be going well in business. And I know if I'm stuck in my business, as I have been many times, that I know there's going to be something wrong with any of these areas. I'm just going to lay them out, and we can talk more about, we're going to talk more about them shortly. So there'll either be something wrong with my mindset, there'll be something wrong with my mission, there'll be something wrong with the business model, there'll be something wrong with, matching the market, what the market wants. There'll be some kind of money issue. There might be some kind of magnetics, magic, I like to introduce the woo-woo into everything that I do. It's a big part of what I do. There'll be something perhaps wrong with my message. Perhaps there might be a management problem. Measurement is super important. There could be something wrong with the motor, like my internal drive that I'm putting into this model that I've got. There could be something about manpower, team, trying to do it all yourself. Or then, there might just be something wrong with me, or who I am and how I'm showing up and what I'm presenting to the world.
Okay.
So what I'd like to do, with your permission, Chris, if that's all right, is extract your number one piece of advice in each of these 12 areas. And some of them are more important than others, I believe, and some of them depends on the stage of business that you're at too. But is that okay? Can we do that?
That's what we're doing.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to keep it brief, and we'll put any links to further resources that you've got around this in the comments. And I know you've got a mega resource that's you're going to share with everybody as well at the end. So let's get started. Are you ready to be juiced, Christopher Duncan?
I'm ready. Juice.
All right. So we'll start with mindset. Number one piece of advice you've got for ambitious entrepreneurs around their mindset.
Begin focusing more than you could ever imagine. Protect your focus as much as possible, and focus on exactly what it is that you want, not what you don't want, not what other people are doing. Focus on what you're doing, focus on what you're growing. But if anything, when it comes to mindset, protect your focus. Cool.
Awesome. Everyone get that? This is gold. This is going to be so gold. The man is gold himself. He's gold wherever he goes. So yeah, I'm so excited about this. Okay, Chris, mission.
We, have one. I think that the biggest advice when it comes to mission is to have one. The biggest entrepreneurs are the ones that are giving the most. So have a mission, have some meaning behind it. People don't want to join a company that's there just the only mission is to make money. And so the funny thing is you never are able to make it if you don't have a bigger purpose. So you got to have one. You must have a reason why you're doing what you're doing that's much bigger than just making money and feeding your family, because that will stop you. That will stop you very fast. It's very easy to make $100,000, $500,000, a couple $1 million. That's not the hard thing. The hard thing is to still be doing it and going bigger in 10 years. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is by having a mission. So have one. Choose one. Go for it. I think the biggest advice around mission is just have one.
Awesome. Cool. Next one, a big one, machine or the business model.
Yeah, the model's crucial, Helen. A lot of people can get themselves stuck with a bad model. And so one thing I always talk about with entrepreneurs is make sure that your model is scalable. The hardest thing in the world is trying to unscrew up. Am I allowed to swear on this podcast? Everyone can. Yeah. The harder thing is to create something that isn't scalable, that takes your time, and then trying to pull yourself out of it. Start the way that you want to continue. So be scalable, have a system, have a process at the beginning. A lot of entrepreneurs get themselves stuck because they don't start by wanting to build a scalable business. And so you become the bottleneck that then strangles the business. So when it comes to the model or the machine, make sure it's scalable. And make sure it's scalable, in fact, without needing people. It's very difficult scaling companies that just require talented people as the only way to scale, because they typically go start their own thing. So it needs to be scalable by a process, or like my gyms or my hair salons or my digital marketing company. There's a process. It's a scalable system. So a lot of business owners, that is the thing they need to look at, is their model.
Yep, absolutely. It's huge. Model is massive. Okay, the next thing is market match. I title it.
If you don't have a message to market match, you're really in a bad place, and so you need it to start with. It's the third rung, I think, on the process of building a successful company. But here's what you've got to understand: is find a hungry market, find out what they want to pay for, and then do that. And I know that sounds simple. Find a hungry market, find out what they want to pay for, and sell them that. But too often, people have a great solution trying to find a problem. So they make a thing, and then they go try to find out who wants it. You actually need to go people first, product second. Focus on the person, focus on what they want, understand their problem, and then match it with the solution that they want to buy. Helen, I hear this a lot. The pharmaceutical industry is so bad. No, it's not. The truth is that people just want the pill. They want it. The only reason that exists is driven by a desire in humans that there's a possibility that they could take a pill and eat crap food for the rest of their life, but take a pill and they're fine. And it's the desire that drives it. But a lot of us don't want to offer a painkiller. We want to offer a vitamin. So we want to say, no, you don't need that diet pill. You need to eat more broccoli and drink water. But that's not a very good business model. So my big suggestion around message to market match is focus on the people, do some massive research, find out what they want, and be willing and flexible enough to give them what they want, even if you think it's not what they need. Even if that, and that's going to bug some people because people want to, they've got a way that they want to give it, Helen, they've got a way. But the truth is if that way isn't how people want to consume it, that's not a business. That's you trying to be a savior. There's a big difference between a savior and a business.
Cool. Awesome. Okay. The next one is money problems. Number one piece of advice around money in business.
It starts now. If you can't feel good about your money and your abundance that you have now, you never, ever, ever, ever will. And that's what's super interesting to understand is now is where it starts. And so I always talk to people about money. There's a few things to understand about it. One piece of advice isn't enough. The advice would be to understand and learn what money is, because see, money is just a unit of choice. It's not anything else than a unit that gives you more choices, but it's also just a measurement. Money just measures value. It's not an energy. I hear some spiritual people going on about how it's an energy. It's not an energy. You're the energy. Money is the way that we measure that energy. And so people have a thing about money. It's like having a thing about a centimeter. It's like having a thing about a kilometer. Hey, I've got this thing around miles. Like it's a measurement of value that you have given and got it with an exchange. Money's a beautiful thing. It's just a measurement. But it bugs me a little bit because we put all this other stuff around it when all that money does is it measures the value that you've provided to somebody else. And that's it. It's just a measurement. And people get so worried about it. So sort it out now, because it's by making 1 million or 2 million of these measurements, by measuring that much, having that much units of choice in your bank account, you're not going to feel different about it if you don't feel good now. So understand money would be my advice.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so let's just quickly talk about magnetics magic. I'm a massive believer in the magnetic mind. So tell us a bit more about your advice around that.
Yeah. You can't turn it off. You can't turn it off. The law of attraction sucks. It's not a conscious being that decides to turn it on or off. And the way to describe it is if you plant a carrot seed and a strawberry seed in the same piece of ground, same sun, same water, they will both magnetically attract what they need to create either strawberries or carrots. It's a true force. It just happens. And so you are magnetically creating that which you are unconsciously. And most of our breakthroughs are going to come by looking at that magnetic force that we have and understanding it. And obviously, you and I have done a lot of work around that. The thing that most people have The reason why they can't actually magnetically create what they want is they set themselves up to fail, and they read The Secret, and that's not the truth, because they don't have a positive vision, Hal. And that's the biggest thing when it comes to magnetics, is when they're trying to create what they want and they're saying, I don't want to have a job, that's where all the power is. So they end up creating a business that looks just like a job. In fact, it's worse than a job, because you're your own boss. You don't have any time off. And the reason why you have that is because the reason why you started it was to get away from something. And so magnetically, you're actually sending out a vibration of what I have isn't good enough, instead of finding a place to be good enough and then creating. There's 2 hours to 30 hours of content to talk about how to actually create rather than being a problem solver. But I guess the thing to understand about that is you can't turn it off. You are creating and magnetizing all the time. It doesn't just switch on or off. It's not a button.
Awesome. Okay. So just around that message, so you talked about the message market match. Briefly about the message, one piece of advice about getting your message right or around the message.
Choose one thing.
One thing?
Choose one thing. Mm-hmm. Choose one thing. Too many people have messages that don't make sense. Choose one thing, own it, and change when you want to change, pivot. But have a clear message to the market. What do you do? People should be able to read it and go, oh, cool, that's what they do. That's what they're about. Awesome. Like Nike nailed it. Just do it. That's what they're about. Get out there and do it. Yeah.
Clarity is king.
Uh-huh.
For sure. Okay, so management. So it might not be a big thing for some businesses, but what would you say about management?
Managing people.
Up to you.
Yeah, I think the first thing to understand is you manage multiple things. The first person you manage is yourself. And if you don't have the right habits for you, don't expect your staff to. Staff are going to magnify everything that you do right and everything you do wrong. A lot of people get staff because they have a problem thinking the staff are going to solve it, but they don't. They just pick up the same bad behaviors that you have. And so management starts with you. It starts with your morning routine. It starts with your mindset. It starts with managing your outcomes, your productivity, the way that you operate. Don't expect to have highly functional, achievement-driven, outcome-driven maniacs on a mission that come in and work for you if you're wanting them to save you, save your company, help you. It's your company. And at the end of the day, that's where the buck ends. It's with you. You're the one building it. So management, number one, it's you. The most important person in the organization is the CEO. And I know others like to say it's not. It is. It is. The most important person in the organization is the visionary CEO. And if you don't manage your outcomes right, if you're not clear, no one else will be. A mentor of mine once said the fish rots from the head down, and that's true in most organizations, is that if there's anything happening underneath, you can always look at the CEO and you can see a direct mirror. You get the staff that you deserve, and you need to do some lot of inner work to be able to get the right staff and then to get them right. So when it comes to management, look after yourself, make sure you manage you first. And then I've got a second one, Helen, I have to.
Go on.
And that's because don't manage process, manage outcomes. So there's two ways. If you want to get something done, don't tell someone how to do it. You'll just get order takers then. Instead say, here's the outcome. How are you going to get to that outcome? And then they tell you, this is how I'm going to do it. Then you say, hey, I might suggest you change this and change this, but go do it. They go do their thing. They bring it back with a specific outcome. Then you get to coach them on what they could have done or how to improve it. But that takes, because here's the problem. You spend half your time telling them what to do and writing the list. You could have just done it yourself. And so the problem is when you micromanage and you manage through process, not outcomes, you never actually get the freedom that you want.
Cool. Gold. This is awesome. Okay, so we've got 4 more to quickly bust through. Measurement, big one.
Do it. Do it. Measure the right things. I believe that there's one key measurement in every area of business and every area of your life. Great book, The One Thing by Gary Keller, helps you to find the one metric, one measurement in each area that matters the most.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you. Now, motor. I use the word motor, the thing that drives the machine, the model, because it'll just sit there unless there's something running it, pushing it along.
Like what?
Like the internal drive. So it's kind of like I imagine it. Yes, you've got a business model, and it's so important to make sure you've got a business model that's the vehicle that's going to take you where you want to go. But then you're in the driver's seat. So I guess you could think of it as motivation. Drive, motivation, motor, the thing that sort of sits in the driver's seat of that vehicle.
Mm. Mm. So my advice around being motivated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the most important thing when it comes to productivity and motivation, and this is a keystone habit, is your morning ritual. As a business owner, you're pulled. I know as a parent, I'm told that you get pulled into many different directions. Well, just when you have 48, 58, 60 staff, it's like being a parent to 60 people because they all want you, they want your advice. And so as soon as you step into that business at 9 a.m., kiss your day goodbye. You're on other people. You can do as a business owner that keeps you driven and keeps you clear and motivated is you must have a morning routine. It's funny because I've got mine sitting right here. And every morning I sit with it. I ask myself, what is my intention for today? What are my top 3? What have I got to do? Where was I uncomfortable yesterday? And then what do I need from others? And so I really plan my day. I have up on my wall where I'm going. And as entrepreneurs, you never want to ask the question, well, where am I going? What am I doing? You must be very clear with your lenses, which if you're watching Helen's podcast, you should have Helen do it, where she'll help you get lenses of where you're going to be in a year, where you're going to be in 90 days, where you're going to be in 30, what you got to do this week, and then what you got to do today. And so I'd highly recommend that you get your lens clear when it comes to motivation and drive.
Cool. Thank you. Two more to go. We'll live with an echo. Okay, so manpower. That could be team, people around you. It means people.
Yeah, cool. So people, find people that are much, much, much smarter and learn to be okay with that. Learn to be okay with that. If you can hone your area. So there's 3 main areas in a business. Okay, either you're the person that drives revenue, or you're the person that innovates the product, or you're the person that creates processes and systems management. You're one of those 3 as an entrepreneur. So when it comes to manpower, you need to find your soul partner. Just like in a marriage, you find the perfect person to spend your life with. Or in business, each business, you've got to find the perfect person to build your business with. And so I'm always the innovator. I'm always looking at the product. How do I make it better? And then secondary, marketing and sales. So my person that I need is always the operator second, and then third, the marketing and sales person. And so when you get those 3, then you can start building underneath that. Most people try to replicate and find people just like them because it's the most comfortable. So the problem is they end up having 10, for example, 10 Chris Duncans in the company, which doesn't help. So you've got to have different opinions and different people and different ways of looking at the world. So pay more. Big learning I got, Helen. Pay more as much as you can afford for people. Have fewer people rather than pay a little bit to a lot.
Great advice. Awesome. And the last one, there could be something wrong with me, how I'm showing up in the world. So number 1 piece of advice for entrepreneurs about themselves personally.
There's multiple identities as an entrepreneur, and we're not taught them if you grew up in an employee household like I did. You're not taught the different identities. And so you need to understand what an entrepreneur is and how they operate. It's completely different. I see so many people who are effective parents, effective in the gym, effective in their community, effective on the sports field, but they're very ineffective as entrepreneurs because they don't understand what an entrepreneur should be looking at. There's 5 stages to 1 million, 2 stages from 1 million to 10, 1 stage from 10 to 30, 1 stage from 30 to 100. Predictable, simple identities that you got to go through. And each identity has a different strategy, has different people, has different processes. You use your cash different, you use your time different, you use your energy different. And you literally have to shift, Helen, and there's these predictable places. 0 to 30 grand is one. 30 grand right up to 100 grand, 100 grand to 300 grand, 300 grand to a million. And you just look at the stats. The business owner has to be willing to let go of who they've been and step into who they're becoming, and know who they're becoming. It's a big thing that we coach people on.
So that is such an awesome introduction into, because I know everyone's just going to be hanging out for more like depth on all of this stuff that you've got to share. And that's what you just said then around who it is that you're becoming is a beautiful introduction into what I'm so excited to share with everybody who's listening at the moment, because you've got something amazing for people who are entrepreneurs, and I want you to tell them about it because it's amazing and it's
I will
free.
tell them. It's free, and it's changing lives. You know, first off, the number one problem for entrepreneurs is they grew up in an employee household. They grew up in an employee society, employee grandparents, employee parents, employee uncles, employee aunties, employee school teachers. And so because of that, they have an ingrained employee way of being. And this is how they treat money the wrong way. It's not the same. See, as an employee, you trade time for money. As an entrepreneur, you create a system that creates you money without your time. So what we have is a 5-day Millionaire Mind Challenge, and it's completely free, and it's online. It's about 45 minutes a day, and you go through it at your own pace. And we really challenge you on day one to understand how to make a million and the 7 big myths. We talk about on day 2, self-sabotage, how people stop themselves making the money. Day 3, the millionaire beliefs that you must believe and understand and install. Day 4, we take you on a transformational meditation, and day 5, we give you a plan. So, you know, Helen, I'll be super grateful to have as many people come and learn that, because entrepreneurs are the only ones that are going to change the planet. And we need to get as many people to understand how to be a successful entrepreneur on the inside, so that their companies reflect it. Because, you know, the world's changing. You know, we've got AI just around the corner where a lot of jobs are going to be shifting, and we need smart leaders and smart entrepreneurs to take that on.
I totally agree. And in my heart of hearts, in my soul of souls, you know, I'm a natural teacher and I'm a natural connector. And so I have the opportunity to connect people to some teaching, which I know is just going to change lives. So for me, this is just a wonderful opportunity to be able to direct people into these challenges. I've done your challenges before. They are just so filled with value. It's unbelievable. So yep, just look below. There'll be comments and links and things like that. We'll hook you up, and yeah, I can't recommend it highly enough. So, Chris, it's been such an honor having you on the show, especially for our first episode as well. It couldn't start with a bigger bang. So I know your time is valuable, and I'll let you get on with your day. But thank you once again from myself and from the audience as well for all of that wonderful information.
Well, thank you. Right back at you. It's people like you stepping out, stepping up, and being a voice that are the ones that are going to change. And so thank you right back.
Pleasure. Thank you. And this